gun, because figures don't lie. So, and I would also ask the court to realize that the comments we made about that particular result have not been challenged. That when you add the totals for the individual parties, you don't get the total ascribed. But the total ascribed is available in the workings and the affidavits of the members of the commission, which means we are dealing with fiction. I would request that you go to slide number slide number 5. And the Honorable Judge asked, how are these things transmitting? So when you look at the fact that at 17 hours, we had 21,481,652 voters or returns which had been made, and we factor into when we try to calculate the average number per voting station, we were told we were given 46,299 polling stations. If you divide 22,120,458 by 46,299, you arrive at an average figure of 478, which is not very far from when you take 65% of 700, which is the maximum number you can have in a polling station, you end up with 455. So when you now come and using the 478, which is the average we have had, and divide 21,481,652, you get 44,962. From paragraph 29 of Mr. Chebukati's replying affidavit, the figure he gives is that 45,994 kits reported. Now, from this, you already see that if the kits were 46,299 and 45,994 had reported, you are only left with 305 kits. These are kits which had connected, so the question of saying that these kits were looking for connection is not there. These kits were connected and they discharged their mandate. And you have been told here that there were some kits in Eldoret who are pinging the same, we are sending results from Eldoret, I don't know, from wherever, one kit being used. So at that time, you get that the 305 kits, which may not have had network, if you multiply that figure by the maximum number of votes available, you will find that the 700, if you multiply that, you'll get a figure of about 213,500 votes. That's the maximum that could be transmitted, not 2 million votes. And also, if you went by working of 1,337 kits, then the maximum amount you could get is 638,806. So the KIMS kits that transmitted are not these ones that reported at that time. But the data, the fact that they held so much data was mined. So somebody could transmit remotely, mining the data that was already reported in these polling stations. And that's how the fraud happens. For the workings on slide number 2, where you can clearly see that if we use the 21,481,652 as the baseline and the 12,065,803 as the baseline, you find these workings coming out, and you can see that 1.6 million votes are being submitted between 17 hours and 2045, and on and on. But most important, even if we were to buy the idea that they were connecting, you have got 508,647 ballots on page 3, slide 3, which transmitted after a period of 3 hours and 45 minutes. So those particular transmissions of 508,647 are a figure that is very curious, because if you deduct the tally for elders from this figure, you hit almost the exact figure that Mr. Willis, Land Council Willis, has presented to this court, coming from the KPMG audit, that there was that number of voters, there was a number of ghost voters equivalent to that one. When we go to the other thing that supports our position, there was a question of what was the denominator used for voter turnout. I will invite you to look at at the petition at page 41. There is a letter, a press statement signed by Mr. Chebukati, saying that he used the National Voter Register to calculate. And if I may just read it quickly to the court. So page 41 is handwritten 41. It says, paragraph 2, at around 4 p.m.,